ridiculous shenanigans with this Epstein Files drop. But I don't think anybody should be surprised. It's really windy. I expected it to be nonsense. It's going to be nothing but nonsense. Here, this is weird. This place, Apollo Bagels, this became some pizza place during the pandemic. I forget the name of it. Something with a Z. Right? There was some big article about this place and a bunch of influencers talking about it during the pandemic in a way that struck me as strange. And now it's out of business. There's a lot of things around here out of business. I actually just wanted to come out to show people this because when I was walking down to the court the other day, it's a little bit of a pain to bring all this stuff to court because it's too much. You have to check your electronics to go into that building and all this bunch of things in the jacket. And it's just too much. But it's really unseasonably warm today. It's in the high 40s, but it's still February. So it's going to be like 19 tomorrow or the next day, but it's a pretty nice day. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff I noticed out of business as I was just walking down here, and it's pretty sad and terrible. You know, there's other parts of the city you can look at. This is not a bad neighborhood at all. This is like the part of the West Village, and it's kind of turned to crap. There's just a load of restaurants that have gone out of business. Meanwhile, Eric Adams is all distracted. He's just filed a motion to dismiss. It's bizarre, you know? I mean, this is the most non-dismissed case I've ever seen. It's carrying on completely like normal as of right now. 3D body scan. What do you need that for? Sounds cool. Let you wear the glasses and everything. And my sound. Something loose there. But yeah, these Epstein files. First of all, what is Pam Bondi doing a file drop? What is she, Matt Taibbi or Julian Assange? We don't need files. Why don't they just come right out and say, we're indicting who? There's a million people we've heard about from the Epstein list. We don't need the list. What's going to be on that list? Instagram or something. TikTok. But, oh wait, so right, the stuff out of business. Look at this. So this was all fancy restaurants here in the West Village. And now, so this is new. We're already at the phase where new things have come in. Like, oh my God, shawarma, OMG shawarma over there. That's new. So here's something closed. You see Compass real estate sign in the window. Maybe something's coming in. That was agave. Somebody spent a lot of money on that greenhouse. Maternal, this is, so that's there. So the OMG shawarma, that's new. This whole thing here used to be Gourmet Garage. And now that's gone. And this is Real Mudo. Oh yeah, it's an Italian. To me, that looks like it's going out of business. It's a big, fancy Italian kind of like an Italy, you know, sort of wannabe, but smaller, and no Mario Battaglia. Maybe it is Mario Battaglia. I don't know that much about that, but I don't think he would do that. He's got Italy, and I think they're opening more of those, but that's just such a giant space. It seems like it's going to go out of business. Facusa Pizzeria. Yeah, these things looked related to me when I walked by there the other day. I mean, it's nice, but oh yeah, did people see this earlier today? I was just over at Target. You know, they opened a Target on 23rd Street. And people reminded me, Target was kind of all over the place when the pandemic started, right? We saw National Guard people holding Target bags and, you know, I guess they were giving out clothing or whatever the hell they were doing. And then lots of places went out of business, as we're seeing just from right around here. And Target opened, you know? So there was, before the pandemic, I mean, not that these aren't also giant corporations, but on my street corner there was Rite Aid and Duane Reade. So if you needed batteries or shampoo or whatever, whoa, these guys are fishing. You had a lot of places to go. Competition, convenience, right? And pretty good prices from those things. See, New York City, it's a little strange. People who don't live here might not realize. When you need something like batteries, you go to one of these little stores, they're just like buying batteries for $5 and selling them to you for $8. So stuff is kind of expensive. You know, I mean, it's not like a big store. They don't have a lot of buying power. And so now, I'm getting into too much detail, but I was in that Target and I was like, oh, $5.99 for these batteries. That's great. And I went up and I checked out at the self-checkout and it rings up $8.99. And I was like, what? So I said to the lady, I was like, hey, it said $5.99 downstairs. And she's like, oh, do you want them? And I was like, what is this, a game show? Obviously I want them. I came here to buy fucking batteries. But I thought they were $5.99. And so it was just like, you know, am I going downstairs now and sitting here and discussing with this girl? By the way, Charles mentioned that. Village Cigars, been there forever, out of business. So I was like, whatever, $8.99, that's kind of regular price, just whatever. And if I went to the deli, there'd be $9.99. So whatever, getting the batteries. I leave. And then the cop is standing there. First of all, he's chatting away with the moron who works at Target, whatever that guy's standing there. And I just said, how does Target get to have the cops in here? And the guy said, they pay. And I said, oh, I want the cops to follow me around. Can I pay? And then you'll shoot anybody who breaks the law or tries to mess with me. And he got really rude. And I just said, what is your name? And he refused to answer. And I said, where's your badge? And he got aggressive. And then I took out the camera. I don't know if people are following me on X at JG_CSTT. You'll have seen this video already, but let me show it to you. This is really egregious. And it's not just, you know, an annoyance. This is something important to do with how the police work and all that. Something sketch going on right there for sure. Anyway, take a look at this.
What is your name, officer?
Sir,
What's your name?
Yeah, I gotta help.
What is your name? We were having a conversation when she walked up. What is your name, officer? Stop advancing towards me. That's assault in the state of New York. What is your name, officer?
Sir, I'm gonna have to ask you to dismiss.
Hey.
I'm gonna have to ask you to dismiss.
What is this guy's
I
name?
don't know his name. I'm gonna have to ask you to dismiss yourself because you're like right now causing business disruption.
Dude, fuck you and this whole store.
The whole of Target. The whole thing.
Stop!
You see, those idiot people are letting their kids ride scooters way up there. They're going to hurt somebody. They're going to hurt themselves. They're going to get hit by a car. But anyway, what was happening in that scene right there is I had just been discussing with this guy, you know, how does Target get the cops in here? And he had all that wise-ass stuff to say. But the point is, he's wearing NYPD stuff. I guess it was mostly up the other direction, but no, like right here. Sorry, I was playing that video while I was walking right by it. This was a tremendously fancy restaurant. This was Sushi Samba back in the day. Many a fine dining experience in there. And I think now Sushi Samba only exists in Vegas, if I'm not mistaken. The first one was right across the street from my old apartment on 20th Park. But yeah, this is totally out. And all of this stuff down here is totally out. Yeah, these guys had some kind of real sketchy private conversation going on right there. They looked tense about me even being near it. This thing used to be Jekyll and Hyde, which was almost like a destination, like an animatronic. You know, they had a whole, see, it says social club for explorers and mad scientists. That was almost like a theme restaurant where they would electrocute Frankenstein and all kinds of stuff. I think Frankenstein, you know, Jekyll and Hyde, they had all kinds of things going on in there. This was a Cochina Mexicana, out of business. So, I mean, the city is not going in the right direction. I mean, there's so many of these kind of like iconic things that don't exist anymore, and just the fact that we have a Target now on 23rd Street, that never existed before, because New York used to be, I don't know, just so many people concentrated in a place that just the competition for the market, and you know, you weren't going to survive if you couldn't outcompete the competition. And it created sort of like a minimum level of performance at a restaurant or something like that. People who haven't lived in New York aren't going to exactly understand what I'm saying, but very often, as a New Yorker, when you travel around the country and around the world, it's very alien to get the kind of service that you get in restaurants where, if you just don't have the kind of population concentration that we have in New York, you just don't get up to the super duper level of service. And I've discussed it with friends from New York years ago. It's already been years because the pandemic basically did it. But when so many restaurants closed and that intense level of competition went away, this stopped happening even in New York. But it is just a wreck around here. And so, right, let me get back to Pam Bondi for a second. So, I, for one, am not surprised. I mean, I don't like getting into the prediction of like this or that will happen, because you got to be pretty specific, and I'm not trying to be a prognosticator. I'd rather look at what already happened and analyze it, or try to. I just somehow knew it was going to disappoint us, because you see, obviously Epstein was doing something with Israel. Ehud Barak is at his house. Ghislaine Maxwell's father is very, very involved with Mossad. You know, it's been written about, and they were at his funeral, and it probably killed him. It's just little doubt that Jeffrey Epstein is directly involved with Mossad. And then when Dershowitz is like, I had never even heard of Mossad. What are you talking about? It's the most ridiculous, who's Lamborghini? It's the most ridiculous Dershowitz nonsense you could imagine. But the point is to just be like, Epstein was Mossad, therefore Israel did everything, frankly is stupid. Because yes, he was Mossad, but Mossad is essentially a cutout for the CIA, or an asset of, or working in cooperation with, call it whatever you want, but there's no way that stuff was going on with Bill Clinton and in New York City and all the other things, flying in planes and doing business in the United States and getting deals from U.S. attorneys. There's no way all of that wasn't happening without the direct cooperation of the FBI, the CIA, the Department of Justice. Loads of things that now they're just, I knew they were just not going to be like, boom, here it all is. And by the way, again, back to the whole Julian Assange, like, we don't need a file dump from Pam Bondi. I mean, sure, do that. But why didn't they just have a press conference in that Department of Justice room and just come out and say, okay, we're announcing right now, go tell all those influencers who you like, hey, here's this website that's only you guys have, and don't share it with anybody, and it's going to go live at this time on this day, but start researching it now, and there's an embargo on this information until we announce it, you know, Friday or whatever. And then just have Pam Bondi come out and say, okay, I'm now releasing all of the evidence that the FBI has related to every investigation of Jeffrey Epstein, and people find anything in there that hasn't been investigated yet, you're encouraged to email whatever email address and basically just become crowdsource the FBI and say, hey, we're committed to like prosecuting people from this, not making big social media influencer events about document releases that generate clicks and media enthusiasm. Fucking do something, damn it. Pam Bondi is a jackass because she comes out of the gate saying, oh, we're bringing charges against Letitia James and Kathy Hochul. No, you're not. You're filing a lawsuit. I could have done that. You're the Attorney General. Bring some damn charges. Indict somebody. Oh, well, I forgot the most important part of my hypothetical Pam Bondi press conference. When she's announcing the website that she gave to DC Drano and Libs of TikTok a week before, she could have said, by the way, we're also announcing that we're indicting Bill Clinton or Kevin Spacey, or who else do we know that's already on that list that we know? What is that list going to do? That's my question. They'll be like, oh, a list. Now what? She's the Attorney General. Indict somebody, damn it. That's why this is all nonsense. They have a big social media influence party at the White House and then do nothing. Right, Zelensky had his ass handed to him, Brian. That was magnificent. See, that's the part of Trump that I love. And that is so New York. Because you want to know something? I've actually done that. Call somebody to your office to be like, get the fuck out of here. And frankly, it's wonderful to do. Like, you don't, I mean, look, what I'm saying is, there was a guy who worked for me many, many, many years ago. And he taught me a lesson. I've spoken about this guy because when we were transitioning from fixing computers to creating, I'm not showing everybody all the closed businesses. When we transitioned from fixing computers to creating multimedia presentations and 3D animation, this guy was working for me and he was leading the team that was programming this multimedia thing we were doing. And he was the only guy who knew how to do the programming. And he sort of held the project hostage at the last minute and wanted $5,000. And I was like, what? So I fired him and figured out how to finish it myself and decided in that moment, no one's ever going to do that to me. There's no key man here except for me. But anyway, after that, this same stupid guy whose first name was Scott used me as a reference for a job. Oh, no, you know what? I didn't invite him to the office. He came over on his own accord and just knocked on the door to have a conversation with me. He used me as a reference for a future job. And when this person called me to ask about him, I said, well, he's very capable, but he's not a team player. And I certainly can't recommend that you hire him. And he didn't get the job. And so he was all pissed off at me. And he came over to the office to say, like, hey, why'd you do that? And I explained to him, you held me ransom and then tried to use me as a reference without telling me you were going to do that. That was pretty stupid. Threw him out of the office. It's not the same as what Trump did. Inviting somebody over to throw them out is better, and I have done that too. But Zelensky is an absolute idiot. He's in there like, see, he doesn't know what to do because the jig is up. And the thing is, Trump is also, I think, on this, not telling us everything he knows. I don't like to be like, ooh, 4D chess, you know? Trump knows everything and cannot fail. I'm not saying that. But on this, I do think he has drilled in to a lot of the facts and details that maybe he didn't know in 2019, 20, 21, and now he knows them. And I think he rightly suspects that Zelensky was involved in a lot more stuff than maybe people realize. And I don't think Trump has a lot of sympathy for him. But at the same time, Trump is right. We're not going to fight on until every last Ukrainian is dead. It's over. And see, Zelensky is acting very much, if she hears this, I'm not trying to start a fight with my first wife. She and I are good. But Zelensky is acting exactly like she did when we were getting divorced. Unreasonable demands that are never going to be able to be met. It's like Trump is saying, he's like, look, you want me to be tough, you want me to... Everybody, that's the thing, everybody wants to negotiate by soundbite and news clip, and that's just not how anything gets done. Frankly, if I was Trump today, after throwing out Zelensky, I would call up Putin and say, hey, listen, we're going to make you the same deal we made Zelensky, but half. You go in there, take over the whole place. We're not going to do anything about it. Then we'll buy it back from you for half price. We'll mine all the rare earth. You don't care if it's called Russia, Ukraine, or Constantinople. You just, Zelensky is out. He has nothing to negotiate with. He's lost this war. Stepping on every word Trump was saying, so rude. I love it that Trump threw him out. I love the throw you out diplomacy. I really, really do. In college, I had a girlfriend who I found out was cheating on me. And she was staying in Westchester, and I told her, you know, come into the city, I'll pick you up at the train station. And I had a car, and I picked her up, and she had ridden like an hour or hour and a half on the train. And I told her, you know, I know all about whatever the guy's name was. I remember Eddie.
Same.
And threw her out of the car. And it was great. It was epic. So this used to be Urban Outfitters, I think. But that went out a while ago, and then they made it like a Star Wars museum for a little while. Star Wars, right? Or maybe Avengers, I don't know, some kind of museum, you know, commercial sort of attraction. But that's out, and it's huge. That could be your bar, bank, coffee shop. Yeah, if you're loaded and want to lose a ton of money. But Pam Bondi so far is every single at-bat a strikeout. She's got to do something. I mean, you know, all this business going on with Eric Adams, terrible. Promises not kept, right. Well, that's what I'm saying, Brad. Maybe she's worse than Sessions. Is she just Jeff Sessions in a dress? Is she incompetent? You know something? There's a lot of people I know who are super hot chicks at whatever job they do. And it's just, look, I'm sorry. If you are one and don't realize this, whatever, but everybody knows if you're a super hot chick, life is different for you. Everybody is nice to you, except for the small number of less hot chicks who are mean to you because they're jealous. Most everybody is nice if you're as hot as Pam Bondi. And she's 60 now, so she's, you know, maybe not as hot as she was. But my point is, how could she be so dumb to do this? They had to know that there was nonsense in that folder and that this was just going to be a lot of fluff. I mean, they literally released stuff that had already been out. So stupid. She may be worse than Sessions. Zelensky doesn't want peace. Well, what Zelensky doesn't want is this thing is now about to get wrapped up and rolled up by Donald Trump, and Zelensky knows that's going to involve him getting investigated and going to jail. Keep in mind, just like the plan in Butler, Pennsylvania was to shoot Trump, the plan for this war was to get Putin out and to balkanize Russia, take over their energy and mineral assets. I mean, maybe not right away, but, you know, have control of Ukraine, get Ukraine into NATO, push U.S. influence further east, and oust Putin. They were even saying that originally, right? He's got to go. Didn't Stupid Joe say that at one time? Oh yeah, I keep forgetting to show everybody all the out-of-business stuff. I mean, I guess you're seeing it behind me, but this is a furniture place. That's still there. But this thing here was what was it again? It was a fancy department store at one time. Now it's totally empty. And also I think Harrison Ford and Callista Flockhart, maybe not anymore, but they lived in one of these buildings at one time. I used to see them at the movies. I don't know if they're still married. He's the Red Hulk now. That movie had historic drop-off. Yeah, see, this was, who remembers what this was? It's the fancy New York department store with one name. That's a man's name, and I can't remember it right now. Oh, here we go. So yeah, I mean, the FBI is not going to tell you anything about Jeffrey Epstein because they're in cahoots with Mossad and CIA and whatever the hell they're doing with that. And if people were to find out that the FBI knew that this guy was trafficking children and raping children and doing all this insane stuff and kind of like working for them, they'd be horrified. So we're never going to see that. Now this building, I don't know what's going on, but it just always has this problem where somebody is smashing these faux bricks. So they fixed it, but now it's already smashed again. And then also this thing is getting tagged like crazy with graffiti, so you can see that they've painted over it a bunch of times. But again, this was a nice neighborhood, and basically everything is out of business. This thing over here, whoops. That thing. See, I missed 3x. I really want a zoom lens on here. I like the 5x, but it's a little too close. So we got that out of business. You've got that out of business. I don't even know what that was, but they will miss you, NYC. This is Twitter Street down here, 17th Street. There's the Verizon building. See, isn't that interesting that that's on the same building, same block as Twitter? I think all of these technology companies going way, way back have been controlled by the deep state. And by the way, did people see Sean, what's his name, the guy who's the new head of the Secret Service who was standing next to Trump when Sean Curran. So that guy was talking to Hannity, and he said that they're doing something with the intelligence unit of the Secret Service to make it have a closer relationship with the IC community, he said. So, and I'm not criticizing him, I'm just saying, to me that says he's outside the IC, the intelligence community, because I don't think you'd call it the IC community. That's the intelligence community. It's just the IC. And he's saying he wants to get closer to it. Well, I do think there have been historically people in the Secret Service who have been close to the IC, but not him. That's why he was the one selected to stand next to Trump while the bullets were flying. I don't think that was the guy who was in on the plan, my opinion. But anyway, that guy's not going to be allowed into the IC because he sincerely sounds like he is dedicated to Trump. That's why they told him to stand next to him while they were shooting. But yeah, I mean, so wait a minute. Pam Bondi had Jack Posobiec. There was a bunch of people that they had there yesterday. And it's very distressing that Posobiec, you know, he's hiding information about the first assassination. He got really upset that I wanted to talk about Max Urich. Did I work with Gene Hackman? It's a good question, Brian. Never did. Never met Gene Hackman. I like Gene Hackman, though. I like him because, you know, he's just one of the first actors I ever knew about when I was a kid, you know, when you sort of go from cartoons to more adult, actual live action movies. Superman was one of my, when I was a kid, I was so crazy about the movie Superman, particularly Superman 2, to tell you the truth. And you know, Gene Hackman was Lex Luthor. So I just have always liked Gene Hackman as an actor. And also, he just seems like a super nice guy. Weird deal going on there. But, you know, they said that he was found in a mudroom, which is, I guess, you know, you live out there in the sand and dirt. That's the entry of the house, right? And the wife, I think, was dead in the bathroom with pills. So he's 95. What happens if he falls and hurts himself coming into the house and she's dead in the bathroom and he's calling to her, hey, help me up, and he can't get up and he just lays there and starves to death while she maybe committed suicide? I don't know. But they say it's suspicious and that he's mummified. What the hell is that about? I guess he's in New Mexico, right? So if he's sitting there for 2 weeks, do you get mummified? What is mummifying? Isn't that, I mean, is he like wrapped up in tissues? What the hell are they talking about? Mummified. Who knows about that? Anyone have any info on mummification? Mum's the word. I don't mean to joke. I like Gene Hackman, I'm sorry. Don't mean to joke about the dead. But on a lighter note, I am very pleased that Trump kicked Zelensky out of the White House. It's just super baller. Carbon monoxide, people say. How did the dog die? Can't get food if the two people are dead, right? I don't know. That's the thing. We don't know how long they were dead. Right. People say carbon monoxide. Well, I don't know. Did they say the dog was killed or just dead? I just heard that it was dead. I presume that the wife died first. And then the 95-year-old guy somehow couldn't, I don't know, can he even drive? His children said he was in good health, but I don't know what that means. Can he see? Can he help himself around? Fucking asshole on a bike. That's just so rude. Look, and he's shaking his head that he can't get between this woman on the phone and the guy walking. Do you see a lot of people on bikes as a FedEx delivery guy now? Isn't it dangerous for you? They're super assholes, aren't they? The electric bikes, exactly. Be careful. See, that guy has to know. Cernovich, right. People are talking about Cernovich. Right, let's talk about that for a second. See, that's the thing. Cernovich is like, oh, I'm investigating Epstein. Really? He was on Dershowitz's, he intervened in Giuffre v. Dershowitz because he was saying, hey, I'm a journalist and for First Amendment reasons, we want to release whatever information was under seal and that. See, I think the whole thing was a lawfare game to do something with evidence because I just don't trust Dersh. I think Dersh knows that the courts are rigged and he plays some role in the rigging. And the reason I say that is that, Giuffre v. Dershowitz was happening in the Southern District of New York. And when I went there, he was running around that courtroom like, those conductors who are like, you're like twitching and freaking out. And somehow the people playing the music knows that means something. But he was running around, talking in this lawyer's ear and sitting down and going back over. Very weird. The whole thing felt orchestrated. And I remember when he was defaming me like crazy, outright telling people that I told people not to wear masks, which I never did, and that I'm a quack and that people shouldn't watch my show or listen to me. I mean, just outright defamation. I sent him all kinds of cease and desist letters, and I told him I was going to sue him, and he said to me, he got really angry on the phone, and he's like, I would relish a lawsuit from you. And I was like, what a sick, psychotic fuck this Dershowitz asshole is. But I could tell there was something behind that. And it wasn't that he thought, it's not like I was challenging Michael Jordan to a game of one-on-one, which he could obviously under any circumstance beat me at. Dershowitz has to know that if he's outright spewing lies with the intent of harming me, he's engaging in defamation, but he's obviously not afraid of it because he knows how court works and how he's going to be able to do things this way or that to make things happen. So Cernovich being there, I agree. These are all people who are going to do operative type things. So who put that together? Is it Pam Bondi? I'm sorry, I don't trust Pam Bondi. She was the AG in Florida when Epstein got caught in the first place. And they had that super duper sweetheart deal. Where the hell is Alexander Acosta? Does anybody know? He was the guy who was the U.S. attorney who signed this plea deal with Epstein. Now, remember when Dershowitz came on my show, he got all freaked out. He got all freaked out after the fact, and there was a whole catch and kill campaign on that episode, my YouTube channel, on me. And that was where he was talking about how he was having dinner with the Rothschilds, and Bill Clinton said, "Oh, somebody wants to talk to you on the phone." And it was Epstein. And we were also talking about how Dersh signed this letter from Gerald Lefcourt, which said Charles first found this letter, because this is where they're saying, "Oh, you know, be nice to Epstein." This is to Pam Bondi too, because that was the letter saying, "Oh, you know, be merciful with Epstein because he's such a good guy. He helped Bill Clinton create the Clinton Global Initiative or something, one of those Clinton things, put together before Bondi," Brad says. Okay, but she's still the AG over there. She has to know the case history and stuff like that. That's a sketchy guy right there. See, he was very fixated on the camera, and when he turned around to look at it, realized it was looking at me and he wasn't being filmed. What could he do? Well, this is a nice looking dentist down there. If you want rats in the dental office, rodentist. But yeah, I don't know, Pam Bondi. Cernovich. Yeah, Cernovich was there, right. So now see, Cernovich is very strange because I didn't realize that he didn't like me or even know who I was until, I guess, this must have been one of the Giuffre v. Dershowitz cases, because I went there and he was there. Yeah, this was when he intervened. And I wanted to talk to him, and I walked up to him and he was like, no, no, no. He like made a face and put his hands up, wouldn't talk to me. And I was like, so that's interesting, isn't it? He's obviously trying to help Dershowitz, and Dershowitz is trying to help Epstein. So, yeah, I mean, it's just, this was a big, stupid mistake to do it the way they did it. Too many things going on in the background. I agree, Mindy. And see, the other thing is, so I'm all pissed off about Eric Adams, and Sal is, but see, Sal, I think, really directly blames Trump. I'm still wondering to what extent is Trump super occupied with Zelensky and Israel and like the world not blowing up, that he's not even thinking about, you know, Epstein or Eric Adams. I mean, not to say that those things aren't important, but I'm just saying from a triage standpoint, if you're the president, he's busy. I don't know. What do people think?
No, I know, but I just get worried.
She's not going to indict anyone. JB says Bondi isn't going to indict anyone. She probably has friends that are on the list. Well, I'll stop short of making that presumption, but yeah, I mean, you're right. See, here's what I'm saying. She's been there a week, even if not, she's known that she's up for the job. See, like if it was me, day one when I signed in, I'd be ready to indict somebody. And then, you know, all right, correct me if I don't know what I'm talking about. Do we need more time to do a grand jury or something? Larry has done those grand juries in 1 or 2 days. Can't we do a grand jury in 1 or 2 days and bring in a bill of indictment against, pick the person, Hillary Clinton, James Comey. If Pam Bondi had said, today we're announcing the indictment of James Comey, and here's all the evidence we have on, indict his daughter, and say, here's all the evidence we have, because she was investigating Epstein, right? She's an assistant U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York. Now, I don't know, have I told everybody about this? Remember that guy, Jeffrey Berman, who was the U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York? He wrote a book, so he got fired. Remember, they arrested Epstein, they indicted him or arraigned him or whatever they did. They had that whole big thing down there. See, and that's what I mean. That's what Pam Bondi should have done. Give out those booklets, but do it at a press conference where you're announcing the indictment of somebody and the booklet is all about the crap that they did. Why didn't they do that? Because they're not going to do anything. So now Brad says as long as cash goes after Adam Schiff. Okay, why didn't they say we're announcing the indictment of Adam Schiff? Here's all the Russiagate files. We're still working on the Epstein thing. It's a 10-year-old case. Please keep in mind, this is not just snap your fingers and release it. What they did was deceptive. It was outright deceptive. They're like, ooh, big booklet full of stuff. It was all nonsense. I mean, it was literally a hype thing. Like, remember that guy, Jack, what's his name, who did a press conference about Seth Rich? What was that guy's name? Butler? I don't remember his name. Nice. He had that guy, John, here to help, who was talking about the ATF did something to Seth Rich. And there was just a bullshit press conference for him to, you know, put stuff on podcasts and do whatever it is people in media, PR companies want to do with press conferences. But it was ridiculous. That's what Pam Bondi just did. It's not Butler. What's that guy's name? Do people remember that? Berkman. Jack Berkman. Thank you. Dente. Teeth. Okay, so right. So here we are, Fifth Avenue. I mean, look at what a wreck it is. Okay, so they're fixing a facade there, but first of all, we got a weed store here on Fifth Avenue. I mean, okay, fine. I missed some of the cosplay. That's the Harry Potter Museum over there. So that's what I mean. Some of these places become these sort of like stupid museums. But at least it's a business. People want to go in there and look at Harry Potter crap. Are people aware of the strange circumstances surrounding the Flatiron Building? It was like auctioned and some shyster won the auction and something crazy going on there. I've been to the very top of that building, I'm sure I've said. It was scary as hell because it's not designed for people to go up there. It was just as a component of Spider-Man we were up there. We've seen this Porsche in here before. Look, Pam Bondi 9. She's in the shoe business now. Well, there's a lot of, okay, so some new places have opened. I guess Hoka, that's shoes, yeah, that's new. Eisenberg's Pubic Hair Sandwich Shop. Well, you know what? I was over here a few days ago. I'm not sure if this was open yet, but there's a Japanese market there. That type of thing was never really around here. Yeah, this is new too, this weed store. So 2 weed stores on Fifth Avenue. It's just, they're having a difficult time, I think, renting some of the space. Now, the other thing is, I wanted to, the booklet was a waste of time. The other thing is I wanted to come out just to sort of check out what's going on because I definitely did notice fewer migrants around. Now look, we have some sort of object d'art over there that I haven't really seen before. Is that a, what do you call those things again? Kinetoscope?
Mistakes.
No, what's that animation thing called? Maybe it's a kinetoscope. Zoetrope. Is that a zoetrope? We'll check it out. There's no pictures in it though.
Oh, look at the photo.
You gotta walk right up to it. What is this? lights. I don't know what it's doing. Heat? Very weird. Winter glow. Maybe this explains it. Les diamants. They reflect sunlight and shine brightly when they light up at night. Okay, so I guess it's doing something at night. It doesn't really reflect anything right now. It looks kind of like garbage. Winter glow. There's always something interesting going on around in New York. Let's see, what else do people think about this ridiculous release from Pam Bondi? It's a pretty nice day, I have to say that. I haven't had a chance to discuss this with Charles yet, but I think he'll really like kicking Zelensky out of the White House. And then I heard on the news that they were literally eating his lunch. Like they had a whole lunch plan and they just kicked him out. Holographic projectors, I don't think so. I know a lot about holograms. You can't just project holograms onto midair. It needs a substrate. And a lot of people who think holograms were used on 9/11 don't understand that. DC government shut down weed stores? Oh. I guess Trump doesn't like weed. They should just make it legal. I mean, Eric Adams stole all the weed. Not him, the sheriff, what's his name? I forget that guy's name. But that guy just stole all the weed and money. Pretty bold. It's a nice looking little dog. It really is a beautiful day. Yeah, I mean, and also everyone's like, ooh, 8 a.m. Oh, you think the FBI cares at all that Pam Bondi's like, hey, you better get me those files by 8 a.m. I mean, why didn't she just like get together some team of FBI people who are loyal to her, go there to the New York field office and just tell everybody, hey, I'm the director, step away from the door, let us in, have your people there protecting you with guns, and just take everything. They're obviously not going to give it. See, it's a nice day. Everybody's got their dogs out at the dog park. Walking dogs. How long? Yeah, I mean, that whole dog dying with Gene Hackman and his wife. Trump put Keir Starmer in his place too. I know, Trump is not messing around. It's great. Yeah, he was asking Zelensky when he's going to wear a suit, or somebody in the gaggle asked him why he doesn't wear a suit, and he tried to answer it like, oh, when this horrible war is over, I'll put on a suit. That looks like kind of a puppy Dalmatian, right? Short legs. Maybe it's a mix of something. It's like a firehouse dog. These dogs are excited out of their minds. Yeah, see, these people who walk around with their dogs off leash are very obnoxious. I don't know, we're kind of living in China now. Inbred Dalmatian, Brian says. 72 in Beaumont. Where is Beaumont? Texas? Yeah, Trump should have a suit there for Zelensky, like when you're 10 and you go with your parents to a restaurant and they're like, oh, excuse me, sir, we have a dress code, and they take you to this room with the shittiest jackets ever, and you're 10 wearing this giant jacket at dinner. Like that looks any better. They should give him an ill-fitting suit so that when he goes to meet at the White House, he's got to wear that. I don't know what this woman thinks of the assassination attempt. Oh, that dog's trying to bite his own leg. Yeah, so I don't know. Pam Bondi, very disappointing so far. Nonsense lawsuit. I mean, why didn't she come right out of the gate with criminal charges against Letitia James? I did work on Metallica Through the Never, JB. And if you have that, you can get it on 3D Blu-ray. If you have a 3D television, they used almost everything that we shot in that movie. The producer absolutely loved what we did for that movie because the 3D camera system that I developed was the best in Hollywood. And I knew how to run it better than almost anybody. And I remember I was in a finishing session with the producer, Lenny Lipton, my dearly departed friend who was my mentor in the world of 3D. This producer called him up and was like, we're gonna have Metallica, we're gonna do a 3D Metallica movie, follow them all over South America on their tour. We want you to be the stereographer. He said, I'm like 75, I don't wanna do that at all. Call Jason. And she wouldn't. So they gave it to James Cameron's company, and they did a terrible job. James Cameron's company, it's a separate company that he's an owner in of, diving guys and sports guys, and they just never really knew a lot about 3D and did junky work. All the stuff in Avatar is very, very, very heavily worked on by post-production visual effects companies and everything. But anyway, these guys did a terrible job, and then when they hired 21st Century 3D to do the New York units, they needed some pickups to finish the film because they didn't have enough exterior shots for these dream sequences or whatever. So we did all of that around Newark and a bunch of shots of people riding horses and motorcycles and weird stuff. And when they cut that in, I was in the finishing session and the producer was like, oh my God, this looks incredible. And they're like, yeah, this is all the stuff we got from New York. And she turned around and looked at me and she said, can you make the rest of the movie look like that? And I wanted to tell her, yes, invent a time machine and go back to 2011 when Lenny told you to hire me. But I didn't say that, and I said we'd have to reshoot portions of it, and I don't think you want to do that. And that was it. But if you have a 3D TV, you can get Metallica Through the Never on Blu-ray. I have I've changed the set now, and I don't have it shown there anymore, but in the old set in my apartment, almost every single show, you can see the Metallica Through the Never Blu-ray box set sitting there under my TV. I don't know if I've ever opened that and watched it on Blu-ray, but I've seen it a few times, obviously. Long story about Metallica Through the Never, but there it is. I just sort of wanted to come out and show everybody what's going on. And also, I wanted to check not just the business closures, but there's some construction areas where what's happening now is these igloo cooler people, they do show up, but they kind of like run out at lunchtime, I think. They're definitely on the lookout now, it seems. They're not everywhere anymore, but they're still around. And so, I mean, it's definitely changed. Like it seems like there's less people around. Like how many migrants did we have just rolling around on the street? I don't know. But, Eric Adams, Elon Musk is correct that Democrats in general wanted more illegal migration to be able to, I think, kind of selectively place voters in districts where they wanted more votes, but also to funnel money to all these stupid left-wing NGOs where they say, we're bringing, peace and teaching people how to be LGBTQ in Honduras or whatever they're doing, but then they're paying themselves, $600,000 a year to do that. And so the more of this migration there is, the more money they can steal through these stupid jobs that they would never have if they weren't funded by idiotic nonprofits stealing all our tax money. So now that the border is completely sealed and there's no, each person who's part of this thing represents money for any of these NGOs. So if they're not coming anymore, yeah, sure, Eric Adams will close down the migrant hotel because there's nobody to fill it up. He's not getting any money from it anymore. Right? So Eric Adams is playing a scheme. We got to get back onto that. I got to call Sal and figure out, Eric Adams' attorney, Alex Spiro, filed a motion to dismiss, which is a weird thing to do in a case that's already been dismissed. But guess what? That's because it hasn't. The judge has appointed an amicus who's going to, I guess, prosecute the government's case. The cooler crowd, Pam. Yeah. I mean, look, it's New York, right? So there's always homeless people and weirdos rolling around. That's the Renaissance Hotel. Funny thing is that opened right just as the pandemic began. Do people remember that time? I guess we didn't do a show together while he was here. He just interviewed me on the roof for his movie, but when Shepard came to New York right at the beginning of the pandemic, he stayed there, and it had just opened. And he was like the only one staying in there, and he said it was really inexpensive. So think about that, I don't think that hotel definitely didn't take in migrants, because I always see people getting out of limos and stuff going in there. It's like celebrities. So Brian is saying, doesn't Pakistani International Airlines own that hotel? Yes. That's what they tell us, but who knows what the convoluted network of intelligence agency cutouts and businesses that they own. Like, I would be surprised if Pakistani Airlines isn't tied in with the Pakistan ISI. I mean, it's just too coincidental to me that that's the hotel out of all hotels in New York City where the FBI interviewed Charles. Don't people find that weird? So, I mean, look, I'm sorry to piss everybody off, but I just don't trust Kash Patel or Pam Bondi, and I don't think we're going to hear anything about Jeffrey Epstein from the FBI. And frankly, I don't think this is going to be any different. Why didn't they indict somebody? There's a lot of people that we already have enough evidence to indict. Why didn't they do it? Better call Sal, exactly. Didn't they? It's got good comments. All right, well, listen, everybody, that's that. We got to see. It's Friday, right? What are they going to do? Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to become a sponsor. Oh, yeah, Odyssey is still working on their new payment system, so they sent an email saying that until March now, through March, you can still use your regular credit card on odyssey.com/@Crowdsource the Truth. It remains the most economical way to sponsor the show for as little as $3 a month. That's out of business. You can support Crowdsource the Truth. There's a 58-cent Odyssey fee that goes right to them. That's the most economical way to do it. People can also sponsor on crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com or subscribestar.com or patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Thanks, everybody who's been sponsoring the show. It's clear that George's brother isn't giving up, so I got a lot of legal writing to do still. It's really unbelievable how that guy can dedicate so much time to trying to ruin my life, but obviously he's motivated to do it. I don't think somebody would do this for 8 years if it wasn't their job. So thanks to everybody who's giving me the fuel that I need to keep going. Fire truck's coming. Have a great night, everybody.